questions being addressed. Obviously, we are hybrid yellow, which means that I'm not seeing all my students every day in person. For whatever reason, my videos or my share is not showing up here.
We could see your screen when it was shared before.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, because I have my other device up and I only see, there we go. Okay, sorry. That makes sense. Okay. Given the fact that this is due in 2 days, there should be a sense where we should be moving along this steps for completion, where obviously the 3 qualities have already been identified. That was a exit ticket that you did on the 17th. That is a grade in Skyward. The second thing is that your research should be kind of wrapping up, hopefully, by this point. Okay, and so you're kind of in this 3, 4, 5 area with your assignment. Okay, so a couple suggestions as you approach this again is to please make sure that you have at least one presidential example, detailed example per quality. In other words, the reader knows that this president embodies this quality because what you have included in your body paragraph clearly illustrates that. All right. If it's very vague or non-specific, then the reader is going to wonder how exactly you came to the conclusion that that president displays that quality. Now, again, you have to assume that it's not me that would be reading it or even hearing the speech in a normal circumstance, because you have to assume that it's a general reader that you're trying to convince is going to be, that it will be convinced from your speech that what you are saying is correct and accurate. Okay. You are welcome to go beyond one example, but at the minimum, it needs to be one. All right. Now, step 4 is one that I don't want people to overlook because of a time situation. I think sometimes what happens is we run out of time and then we kind of forget about the bibliography. The bibliography needs to be in MLA format. So what you see here at the bottom, this can't be what is in your bibliography. All right. Because obviously when you're going to these web pages, you know, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things here. And as a general reminder, they need to be fully cited. Okay, using the generators that you can find online, EasyBib, BibMe, all those. I know it's kind of tedious because you do have to use, excuse me, you do have to read those, you know, or watch those ads or whatever. I know that's kind of a hassle, but just a point of emphasis here. Okay, the link that I clicked on here is taking me to the web page where I can see the list of the presidents. And if I was choosing James Madison as a president, obviously the link has changed because it's more specific about Madison. But if I'm citing something in Madison's presidency in terms of leadership during a war, for example, okay, and I'm on the part about foreign affairs. And if you don't know about James Madison, he was the president during the War of 1812, which was the first time we declared war on a foreign country. The big thing here is that I'm citing the website specifically here at the top where I'm getting the information and not just the Miller Center website, because every time I change the website, the link's going to change. So I go from foreign affairs to domestic affairs. That is 2 different sites that are 2 different resources. It's 2 different links that you have to cite. And the reason why you need to get used to that is because when you get into high school and beyond, that's obviously the expectation. Okay, if you're writing a persuasive piece of text about why, you know, the American Civil War was the most divided period in American history, you know, if you found a website, there's one called civilwar.org, you're not just going to cite civilwar.org because the reader's not going to know specifically, okay, what did you use from that website to support your statements in your paper. Okay, so it is important to know, again, when you go and navigate through this website, and again, I would hope that this is a big part of what you're using as a reference because it is a tremendous tool, that you're citing each individual specific website that you're gaining information from. Okay, this website at the top should not appear in anybody's bibliography. So listen carefully here. I hope you heard that. The one up here where it says millercenter.org/president. This should not be a source I see in the bibliography because it's not specific enough. You're on the main page where all the presidents are, and that's not specific enough, okay? So that's something that I caution you on, and that's why I wanted you to be clear, make sure that you were keeping track of the resources that you were using throughout your research, okay? Number 5 is one that, again, is a given, but oftentimes we overlook it because we write a paper, we close the document, and we submit the document, and we haven't gone back through and read it. I want to give you a fair warning here, okay? If I begin reading a document and I notice it's blatantly full of grammatical errors, I'm going to send you a message to say we need to have this cleaned up before I read, because I want to read your speech and be convinced what you're telling me in terms of this president embodied this characteristic and here's why, rather than having to highlight, 30 times in your speech grammatical errors. So that's something that I really am telling people to get ahead of in terms of, do I have names capitalized? Do I have, do I have the specific individuals involved capitalized? Is the name of the event capitalized? Like the American Civil War, or if you're referring to it as the Civil War, that should be capitalized. That's a proper noun versus a civil war, which is non-specific. Those little things do matter when you are writing a paper, and that is something I am going to be looking at here, okay? Now, the submission document, this is the name of the assignment. Presidential Quality Speech Assignment. The assignment is there in Canvas. My best suggestion for you is to go into assignments. It'll be toward the bottom. You open the assignment and you add your document as an attachment, okay? And I can show you how to do that tomorrow as needed if we have any questions. So that is something that I want people to be aware of as we near the finish line, because this is due at the beginning of the period on Wednesday. Okay, I'll talk briefly about it. If there's any questions about submitting it, we'll get that taken care of. But otherwise, we're moving on. We're at a good period right now where we can continue on a good pace and get into George Washington's presidency and get into the early Federalist period of American history, so that when we get back after winter break, we're well on our way and we'll be able to have plenty of time toward the end of the year to talk about Reconstruction and, everything that went on with that, which is oftentimes a topic that we don't get into enough, unfortunately, because of time. Okay. So again, kind of highlighting the specifics here. When you're introducing the names of presidents, please introduce them fully, like President Abraham Lincoln, President George Washington, President, Millard Fillmore. From that point forward, you can use last names only, but avoid using first names. Avoid using Abe or Honest Abe or Frank or George, because that's not specific enough. Okay, last names are fine. And again, and I've already seen this with a couple of people that have had some questions about it, please make sure you are referencing the correct president in the correct time period. So if you're talking about the Great Depression and the New Deal, that's Franklin Roosevelt, not Theodore Roosevelt. Or if you're talking about, the Alien and Sedition Acts or the XYZ affair, that's John Adams, not John Quincy Adams. So there are we have 2 Adamses, 2 Harrisons, 2 Bushes, 2 Roosevelts. That is something that is a must given to make sure that you're referencing the correct president. And that's really just about reviewing your information carefully and knowing who you're talking about, because the presidencies of those grandfather, grandson, cousins, father, son, they're spread apart enough that they shouldn't be confused with each other because the time periods are rather different. Okay. Does anybody have any specific questions on anything involving the assignment? Anything they're unsure about? Anything they're stuck on? You know, I think today and tomorrow are big, folks, because again, you know, it's important that we get back into the swing of things, you know, so and continue on a good pace. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be on the meeting for about another 12, 13 minutes. Please note something. Don't leave yet. Please note something. Okay. I want to talk about today's exit ticket really quick. All right. Bear with me just a second here. I know some people are done. Okay. I had some students in the class periods today that says, hey, I'm done. You know, all that. I said, okay. The exit ticket today is asking you to do a screenshot of your progress. If that means you're done, then screenshot your completed progress. If it means you're halfway done, screenshot the halfway done. The reason why is that I need to make sure that we are on a good path and that I'm not, because I don't want to be contacted at 11:50 tomorrow night saying, you know, I'm just not going to finish it. I need to see your progress, and that's why I'm doing these checks as we go along to make sure that we're keeping a good pace. Marcus?
My Wi-Fi was out all week, and I wasn't really able to do anything.
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting people to do a lot of work over break. So I would still say with the days that we had leading up to break and today and tomorrow, it still should be a relatively good amount of time to complete this. So I would say just continue on your progress and see where you are come Wednesday. Because again, yeah, that's fine. One of the things I stress with people is that I didn't want them to feel as if they had to do a lot of work over break, because that was a time for you to kind of decompress, re-energize, have some time to yourself that didn't involve school, and be ready to go when we get back. So that's, I didn't want to make people feel obligated to do that, because, you know, I didn't check my email. I didn't really get into looking at information with Canvas until yesterday. So I wouldn't be a very good model if I was expecting you all to be working all break and me not doing that. So that's kind of where I am on that. So we can see where we are on Wednesday. I will be on here for about another 10, 11 minutes. If you have any questions, the exit ticket is posted there for you. So please make sure you get that completed. And like I said, if you have a question on something, you can hang on here, or you can pop back in at any moment over the next 10 minutes or so, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.